My name is Christina. I'm sitting in my kitchen, the phone in my hand, still reeling from the call I just received from my daughter, Lily. It's been 2 days since her wedding, and the tranquility of the post-wedding bliss has been shattered. Lily's voice was trembling as she told me that Gloria, her mother-in-law, had shown up this morning with a notary and a stack of papers. Mama, it was so strange. She said it was a gift, but then she pulled out this document and wanted me to sign right away. I closed my eyes, a cold feeling settling in my chest. I knew this day might come. It all started when Lily called to tell me she was engaged to Victor, Gloria's son. I had this gut feeling, a warning that something wasn't right. I raised Lily on my own. Her father left when she was just 5 years old. I was a schoolteacher for 35 years. I've always been good at reading people, just like I'm good at reading the fine print in contracts. I made a promise to myself that day her father left, I'd give her the best life I could and teach her everything I knew. Lily grew up to be a brilliant graphic designer. She built a successful freelance business on her own. When she told me about Victor, I asked her those same 3 questions. How long have you known him? Where did you meet? Has he met me? She laughed, just like she always did, and that laugh used to make all my worries fade away. The first time I met Victor and Gloria was at a fancy dinner. Victor seemed nice enough at first. He was quiet and polite, shaking my hand with both of his, looking me in the eye and saying it was an honor. But Gloria. She was different. She arrived in a designer suit and a handbag that probably cost more than my monthly salary. She hugged Lily like they were old friends and started asking questions that seemed innocent but were actually prying. Where do you have your studio, Lily? Is it your own place or do you share it? Do you have a lot of long-term clients? How did you manage to build such a successful business at such a young age? I watched her carefully, filing away every answer in that calculating mind of hers. After dinner, when Lily and Victor stepped outside to take a call, Gloria turned to me. You must be so proud of her, she said. I nodded, saying I was. She then went on about how Victor was very self-sufficient and that they'd raised him to understand the importance of personal property and shared values. It was an odd thing to say to a woman she'd just met, but I smiled and agreed, storing that conversation away in my mind. Over the next few months, Gloria inserted herself into the wedding planning. She suggested a venue that, I later found out, was co-owned by her cousin. She offered to handle the catering because she knew someone who owed her a favor. And she asked Lily several times about her business finances and whether Victor would be involved in her firm in the future. Lily brushed it off as minor annoyances, but I knew better. I've lived long enough to recognize a pattern. So, I made a call to my old friend Ava. Ava has been a family law attorney for 30 years. We used to volunteer at the local community center together before she moved to another city. I told Ava everything I'd seen and heard. She said, "Tell me about the money." That's when I had to tell her about the inheritance I'd received when my father passed away 12 years ago. My father was a simple man. He worked hard all his life, lived frugally, and never talked much about money. He left me a large house, a few investment accounts, and a trust fund that had been growing for decades. After taxes and legal fees, I received over $1.8 million. I also inherited the rights to a small piece of land in Texas. 3 years after his passing, an oil company discovered significant reserves on that land, and its value skyrocketed. I didn't change my lifestyle. I still lived in the same house, drove the same old car, and wore the same clothes. I didn't tell anyone, not my neighbors, not my sister, and definitely not Lily. I knew that the people who might take advantage of me were not strangers but those close to me. Ava advised me not to tell Victor and Gloria about the trust, at least not before the wedding. She said to keep it in the trust, make sure Lily was listed correctly in the documents, and never let anyone put paperwork in front of her without an attorney present. I told Ava that Lily didn't have an attorney, and she replied, she does now. That evening, I called Lily. I told her I had a wedding gift for her, legal representation during the estate planning process. I framed it as a practical thing, something every professional woman should have. She thought it was very thoughtful. I then asked her gently if Victor had ever asked about her finances or her family money. She was quiet for a moment and then said, "He asked once if you ever remarried. And when I said no, he said it must have been hard for you to raise me alone." I asked what he said next, and she replied, "He said you must have had some help along the way." I stayed silent on the phone. Lily asked me why I was asking, and I said, "I just want to know the man my daughter is marrying." I didn't tell her about the trust, Gloria's questions, or the shady wedding planning deals. I didn't want to be the mother who poisoned her happiness. Instead, I made sure Ava's number was in Lily's phone and that all the trust documents were in order. The wedding was beautiful. Lily looked like a princess in her long-sleeved dress and her grandmother's heirloom jewelry. She cried when she saw Victor at the end of the aisle, and for a while, I let myself believe that I'd been wrong. Maybe Gloria was just an over-involved mother, and Victor was a normal guy. But then, 2 days after the wedding, came Lily's call. As she described the scene at her house, with Gloria and the notary, I could feel my blood boiling. I knew this was the moment I'd been dreading. Lily told me that just as she was about to reach for the pen, her phone buzzed with a text from Ava. It said, "Do not sign anything until I am present. I'm 10 minutes away. Please confirm you received this." Lily looked up, saw Gloria still smiling and pointing to the signature line, the notary ready with his stamp, and Victor standing there sipping his coffee. She said, "My attorney is on her way. We'll wait." Gloria tried to convince her that it was just a formality, but Lily stood her ground. "If it's just a formality, it won't matter if we wait 10 minutes, she said. Ava arrived 11 minutes later. She introduced herself, shook hands with Gloria and the notary, and then picked up the document. She read every single page, ignoring Gloria's comments about efficiency. When she finished, Ava set the document down and said, "This document would transfer power of attorney over Lily's personal financial accounts, including those she had before the marriage, to a family trust managed by you two. It also waives her right to independent legal counsel in any future disputes related to the trust." The room went silent. Victor stammered that he didn't know that was in there. Ava pointed to page 4. Gloria said there must be a misunderstanding and that she'd call her attorney. But she didn't. Instead, she picked up her handbag, signaled to the notary, and said they should schedule a proper review with both sides represented. After they left, Ava explained to Lily the full extent of the document. There were clauses that would have given Gloria's family trust access to any property Lily acquired during the marriage, including any inheritance. The language was so broad that it could have covered my trust, the one Lily didn't even know about. Ava called me right after and said they knew, or they suspected. This document was prepared before the wedding. I drove to Lily's house that afternoon. I sat across from her at the kitchen table and told her about the trust. I explained why I hadn't told her before, that I wanted to protect her. She was quiet for a long time. Then she asked, "Is that why you got me the attorney?" I said yes. "Is that why you were so concerned about Gloria from the beginning?" she asked. I said yes again. She looked out the window and asked, "What do I do now, Mama?" I told her it was her decision. He's your husband. You have to find out what he knew and what he didn't. You have to decide what you can live with and what you can't. I can't make that choice for you. Victor claimed he hadn't read the document, that he'd trusted his mother when she said it was routine family paperwork. Lily asked him why he'd just stood there while a notary waited for her signature. He didn't have a good answer. They went to counseling. Ava drafted a post-nuptial agreement that protected Lily's individual assets, including her future inheritance from my trust. Gloria was not invited to review the agreement, and she received a letter from Ava's office stating that any future financial discussions should go through legal representation. I've thought a lot about whether I should have told Lily about the trust earlier. But I realized that she needed to make her own choices. My job was to make sure she had the information and protection she needed. Lily and Victor are still married. It's not an easy marriage, but most real ones aren't. Lily knows who she is in this relationship now, and she knows what she will and will not accept. She has Ava's number memorized and reads every document before she signs it. Last month, she called to tell me she'd referred Ava to a friend whose husband had presented her with some financial paperwork. I asked what her friend did, and Lily said, she called Ava first and then read every page. I smiled, feeling a sense of pride and relief deep in my chest. To all the women out there who have worked hard for what they have, listen closely. The people who want to take from you might be the ones who seem the most friendly. Protect your documents, know what you're signing, and have someone in your corner who can read contracts like a pro. And if you have a daughter or a young woman who trusts you, build that safety net before she needs it. Because you never know when that moment will come, and you want to be ready.